Rain fell steadily over the quiet street, tapping against the crooked metal bus stop sign and streaking the pavement with thin silver lines. Nora stood beneath the small bus stop shelter with her hood pulled up, shifting her weight as water dripped from the edge of her jacket. The small row of shops across the road had already closed for the night, with their dark windows reflecting the slick glow of streetlights along the empty street. When she checked the time on her phone, the screen read 11:39 p.m. Low rumble approached from down the road. Through the curtain of rain, a pair of dull yellow headlights appeared and slowly grew brighter. The bus rolled toward the curb and slowed to a stop with a tired groan. Even before boarding, Nora noticed something off about the bus. The paint along the side had faded unevenly, and the city logo looked worn. Still, it was the only bus coming and going her way. The doors creaked open, releasing a wave of warm air that smelled faintly of damp fabric and old metal. Nora stepped inside, brushing the rain from her sleeves as she moved into the aisle. The driver sat stiffly behind the wheel with both hands fixed in place, and the dim overhead light left most of his face hidden in the shadows. He didn't acknowledge her presence as she passed by. The bus was nearly empty, with only 2 passengers besides herself. An elderly man sat near the front with his thin frame leaning slightly toward the rain-streaked window beside him. His pale hands rested loosely in his lap, while the reflections of passing lights slid slowly across the glass. Farther back, a woman occupied a seat near the rear of the bus. Her head hung forward, and her dark hair fell around her face, hiding her expression completely. Neither passenger looked up when Nora entered the bus. She settled into a seat halfway down the aisle and set her bag on the seat in front of her, just as the bus shuddered and pulled away from the curb. For several minutes, the ride felt ordinary as the city drifted past in blurred streaks of yellow light and wet pavement, while the engine hummed steadily beneath the floor. The first stop passed without the vehicle slowing, but Nora barely noticed. The second stop slipped by as well. She glanced up again. The red stop buttons above the seats remained untouched. She looked toward the elderly man, but he didn't make any move to get down. His gaze remained fixed on the window, as though he were watching something outside. The bus passed another stop. Nora leaned toward the glass and wiped away a patch of fog with the sleeve of her jacket. The rain blurred most of the outside world into streaks of gray and gold, but she no longer recognized where she was. The bus continued forward without slowing. She rose from her seat and walked toward the front. The driver didn't react as she approached. His shoulders remained stiff, and his eyes were fixed on the dark road ahead. Nora followed his line of sight. The glow of the streetlights had vanished. Now, the road stretched ahead through a wide darkness, with the bus headlights carving a narrow path across wet asphalt that seemed to lead nowhere. Uneasy, she stepped back and turned toward the aisle again. Her eyes drifted toward the window beside the elderly man. His reflection stared directly at her, yet his body remained turned toward the glass, unmoving. Nora blinked and shifted slightly. The reflection still faced her. Cold prickles spread across her arms as she went to sit down. Behind her, she heard the sound of clothes rustling softly. She turned toward the back of the bus. The woman who had been sitting there was now lifting her head. Strands of dark hair slid slowly away from her face, revealing eyes that looked strangely. Nora's heartbeat raced, and she stifled a scream in her throat as she rushed toward the front door and tried to pull it open. But the door refused to move. Outside, the rain continued to pound harshly against the windshield as the bus rolled onward. Then flashes of red and blue light appeared through the windows. The bus passed a roadside ditch where several police cars stood with their lights spinning across the wet road. Paramedics moved through the rain around a wrecked vehicle, crumpled against a guardrail. Twisted metal glistened beneath the emergency lights. For a moment, the bus slowed as it passed. A stretcher laid near the road. There was a body covered with a white sheet on it. The wind lifted the edge of the fabric slightly. Through the rain-streaked glass, Nora saw the face beneath it. It was her own face,